Riffical Records presents the East-West Vinyl Analysis with your hosts Mark Anthony Kay and Ken Keenan. Greetings, friends. And no, don't adjust your television screens. We're back. And it's been only 10 months or so since the last time we've actually made an episode. Who would have thunk it? I mean, we were always ending our episodes saying, yeah, we'll see you for sure in like 2-3 weeks, guaranteed. And, I guess that went out the window. But in between those times, as you know, many things have happened on this planet. And usually when we say something's happened, usually it's something locally. But this is something that's obviously worldwide now. So, but that's not to say that COVID was the only reason why we, weren't here for 10 months. But as you can see, I'm doing well. My good friend and partner in crime on the East-West Vinyl Analysis, Mr. Ken Keenan, is also doing well. Greetings, sir.
Greetings to you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm doing well. I hope you said you're doing well, so that's all we can hope for,
Exactly. And I mean, it may be like just a common saying to say that I'm doing well, but believe me, in these days, that's sometimes a very good thing, because there might be some people out there that are not doing so well. I just finished coming from my living room, and my TV's on, and I have it on BBC One, and they were saying that Belgium has been hit hard again with COVID, and they're cutting back again. They're having curfews in the evenings again. So, we ain't out of the woods yet, people. And I hope that people put that up here. A lot of people are getting lackadaisical with it. It can just go like this, where we can get back to it being a complete cluster. Okay, so let's be smart, people. Okay, we want to be going out there and buying records and stuff, and can't do that if everything's shut down, right? So, well, just stay smart, people. So today, me and my good friend Ken are going to be hitting you up with a topic today. This was, in fact, Ken's idea. So do you want to introduce it?
Yeah, I mean, we've done various topics, different things based on whatever, producers, years, and so on. I just figured a simple one, since we're going to hopefully get back in the swing of things here, and go with debut albums. So picking 3 debut albums each that you think are great, classic, or must-haves, and maybe it's something you like and not everyone likes, but that's fine too. But you can we can talk about the release and the band or artist, whatever.
It's a great idea. Debut albums are always a good thing to talk about, because when you talk about some bands, their debut is so far back. Some people might not even remember some of these things. I mean, think of bands like a Yes or a Rush or a Kiss or whoever. I mean, how many records have these bands put out? I mean, just look at Ken's shelf behind him there. I mean, those are probably all Kiss things. So there's a lot to choose from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, it's sometimes focusing on a debut record, you may not even remember what's even on those records. So I think it's a good idea. And for me, and I'll ask you in a second the same question, but for me, I kind of picked records this time that they're not obscure, like, oh my God, I never heard of them kind of thing, but they're records that maybe not as common, and ones that I think that would be good in, certain collectors, collections. I think, if you like that type of music, it's something that maybe you haven't picked yet. Maybe it might be a good idea to look into it. So what about you? Did you take the sort of same criteria, or?
Just a band, albums that I thought were pretty much great through and through. A debut album that they came out, whoever it was, came out on, firing right away, where there's no real skip songs at all, no filler, and then as they say, they lived most of their life up to that point to write those early songs and put their best songs on the record. The toughest record is the second record. If you may not have the material, you may have used up all your best stuff on the first one. So, yeah, these are just what I deem as great records with great music on it.
Fantastic. So, who wants to go first? You want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
I'll let you go first.
Okay, great. But before we go first,
okay,
there's one thing we need to ask.
Oh.
Ken, did you buy anything new recently?
Yes, I did. Well, actually, I bought a couple of things, but the one thing that came in the mail yesterday was an ABBA box set, a new ABBA box set. It had all their 8 vinyl albums, and they're all in 180 gram. They're all remastered and all that, and in color. They all have a different color, different color
Wow.
about it. I listened to a little bit of them yesterday, just a little bit, and it sounds really good. The only other thing I've done is like pre-order, which we know there's recently yesterday, and I think you did too, the Kiss Unmasked
Yes.
vinyl, the splatter vinyl.
Yes. Yeah, well, the splatter vinyl I jumped on, as people who have watched us on the FAQ know, Unmasked is probably in my top 5. One of my favorite Kiss albums, believe it or not. Most people kind of frown on Unmasked, but I really like it. I think that even now, if they were to go in and do a proper remix of it, I think it would be a brilliant record, like easily one of their best ones. So, and with the whole, fascination around the splatter release that came out in the 80s from Mexico.
Right.
I mean, it was not that this came out in this fashion. I mean, you'd be stupid not to jump on it, because it's not going to be $35 once it's sold. People are going to start selling it for like $200, like the Mexican one. So it's going to get crazy. One thing I didn't buy, mainly because I'm anticipating 7 variations of it, is Ace's Origins Volume 2.
Right.
So, did you buy it yet? Or?
I didn't either. I was thinking the same thing, kind of. I know that the gold one, limited gold one of 5 kind of copies, was sold out. But then there's a gold and black swirl, and now there's
the purple. Or something
purple
like that.
and black, or I don't know. There's one for Europe only.
Yeah.
I was like, it's just getting a little bit out of hand. I'm not going to buy every one. I'm sure there are people who are going to buy every one, but I'm not. I'll buy one eventually, but I don't know what color it may be.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to get one eventually, but I didn't jump on it this time because I knew it'd be insane, like the trying to get on the site, because I don't know about you, but yesterday for me, I had a hell of a time getting on Kiss Online to buy the Unmasked.
I heard
it kept
other
telling me the
people,
page the page was screwing up left and right, and finally I got on. So I didn't want to go through that with the Ace thing. That's what I was by thinking before it even happened. I didn't even bother to go on the Ace thing. But knowing how he did Spaceman, there's going to be multitudes of this.
Sure.
And the one thing I'm going to kick myself for is that when Spaceman came out, the only one I wanted to get, because I did get the silver version, was I wanted to get that picture disc orange one, because I really liked that one. That one looked really nice, but I never ended up getting it. But I know in one of my record stores here they still have a copy, so I'm probably going to go grab that. But I'm not going to wait this time. I'm probably going to just grab something similar, like an odd color. I don't want to jump on the first one.
Right. Yeah. So
there you go.
That's it.
Okay.
For now.
Yes. So out there, for everybody out there, let us know what you're anticipating or buying now. What's your latest purchase? So let's jump on to our first debut album. Now, my first pick, I'm not sure if I've showed this record before, because it has been 10 months. So I don't think I did. If I did, then whatever. But I really love this album. It contains a former member of Yes in it. And when this album came out with this band, they had, surprisingly enough, a hit song off of this, because it appeared on a movie, of all things, which is very odd, I thought. The song is called Small Beginnings. And I'm trying to remember the name of the movie that it was on. If I refer to my notes, maybe there might be something on here about it, but Yeah, but in any case, it's it's a great record.
Mm-hmm.
It's a four-piece band, and
Mm-hmm.
the band is called. No, hang on, let me just get the out of the sleeve here because it'll probably be all glare with my luck. Is Flash.
Flash. I like that album cover.
Yeah. It is a gatefold.
Okay.
If you open it this way,
Aha.
there you go.
So you're getting a little flesh there, I guess. That's
Exactly.
I get it.
Now, the member of the band that I'm talking about, of the Yes band that I'm talking about, is Mr. Peter Banks, the original guitar player on there. Now, I remember when I first heard of this album, and I thought to myself, Peter Banks, I wasn't too hip on him when I first started getting into Yes,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't really know too much about the early records. So I was like, okay, well, how good can it be? And then I put it on, and I was like, whoa. Like, honestly, his guitar playing is fantastic on here.
Hmm.
And it's right up my alley, this type of record, because it's got 3 songs on side 1. Small Beginnings at 9 minutes 23 seconds,
Wow.
Morning Haze at 4 minutes 32, and Children of the Universe at 9 minutes. Then you flip the side over, and you have Dreams of Heaven, which is 13 minutes long, and then you have The Time It Takes, which is 6 minutes long. So it's a very I don't want to scare people off by saying, oh, it's very progressive, because it's really not. What it is, it's like a straight up rock band, lots of Marshalls and,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. And you have ARP synthesizers and stuff like that. But it's mainly guitar, bass, drums, right? And vocals.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, imagine if you had like a hard rocking band, like a Deep Purple or a Zeppelin or something like that, but they made longer pieces. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That they had that kind of progressive
Oh, yeah.
influence in that sense. It wasn't really that they're doing like da-da-da-da-da. They didn't do any of that stuff. It's just that they had longer pieces where maybe the one guy soloed a bit longer. In one of the records, not this one, I believe the next album, there's actually even a drum solo in one of the songs.
Oh.
So they even did those kind of things. I mean, you got to remember, this is like when did this come out here?
What
It
year
came
is
out
it?
February 1972. It came out.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, so it
Early
came out
70s.
a long time ago. It's on the Sovereign label, and it's produced by Derek Lawrence, and it was recorded in England.
Mm-hmm.
It says here, the guitarist Peter Banks played with several bands before forming Flash, including the Nighthawks in 1963, and then he played with The Sin with Chris Squire in 1965. He then joined Maple Gear's Toy Shop, which became Yes in 66.
Oh.
Okay, so it says here as well that Chris Squire, blah, 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 but briefly left the band. He left the band and joined a band called Neat and recorded a single with them called "I Lied to Auntie May," with Peter Frampton on guitar on side A, while Banks played on side B. He then joined Maple Greer's Toy Shop again, and then left them in 1970 after Time and a Word to form Flash. It says their bassist Ray Bennett played with another band prior to Flash called The Breed, which included Bill Bruford on drums. So there's another Yes connection right there. This record that I have here is the Canadian pressing of it. I'll show you really quickly here.
Okay. Yeah. It's a early Capitol kind of label
Yeah.
too. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it sounds really good. Trying to
Yeah.
get that glare out of there.
Yeah. I can get it. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So it's really good. I mean, it sounds good. I gave it a good one wash over when I first bought it, and after that, honestly, I haven't had to really do much to keep it sounding good. And I've listened to this record quite a few times. It's not like I've, when you get some of those records where you buy it, you listen to it once, and then it's like in your shelf for like 3 years before
Yeah.
you actually listen to it again.
Yeah.
It's not that with this. I really find that it's memorable, and you know what, I think this is very important. I think it's going to be something I'm going to ask you when you pull out your records next. Is this a record that you pull out often? Because I mean, look at your shelf. I mean, I'm not going to ask, I mean, well, I will ask you. I mean, you must have lots of records. I mean, I'm approaching 900 or so vinyl records in my collection. So if you're pulling out a record again and again when you have that many records, it's got to be either A, very good, or you're just lazy and maybe it's in the front of your collection or something and you don't want to dig in deeper. So, I mean, for me, this is one that I really enjoy and find memorable. So this is why I listen to it very often. So have you even heard of this band? Or
I don't think I've heard of Flash, which is interesting. Did they have any songs that like made the charts or anything like that?
Well, that one, Small Beginnings,
just
apparently
the
was
Small Beginning. Okay.
Yeah, that was the only one that was
it was part of a movie. You said.
Yeah.
Around the same time, or.
Yeah, around that same time, and of course, it would have been an edited version of it because it's a 9-minute on record, right?
Sure. Well, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I'll have to, get on YouTube or whatever and listen to some of that stuff. Of course, right now I'm in the middle of starting digging into Kansas, but
yes,
I will check that one out definitely and hear a little bit and see. It'd be interesting to hear the style of rock. You're saying it's pretty like
very, very guitar oriented. I really think knowing how what you kind of things that you like.
Yeah.
I think that you will like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good. Yeah. So I'll check that one out for sure. But that's a good one. You surprised me with that one. I hadn't heard of them.
Oh, great. Well, then I did my job. Hopefully, my other two will be more just as
Flash.
Just as surprising to you.
Yeah, Flash. When you first said Flash, I started thinking of a comic book Flash because of anyway.
It's a good show, actually, but that's for another episode.
That's for another episode. Yeah, maybe a Flash soundtrack someday. All right, so you ready for my first pick? No particular order. My pick is an album that I bought actually in it's kind of a new and used record store back in. I think I bought it around 82.
Mm-hmm.
Though the album was released in November 81. But I did see the band in 83.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, and I bought this album just because I looked at the cover. One of those kind of things. I looked at the cover. I'm like, oh, this has got to be, rockin' kind of stuff, and it wasn't too expensive or anything. So, having said that, the album I am picking for a debut album is Motley Crue.
Oh.
Too Fast for Love.
Very nice.
Yeah. Now this one here was on their leather records.
Ah.
So this is one of the leather record pressings. They pressed three. They had three pressings on their own leather records, and I believe this is the second pressing on that. But yeah, again, it was released in 81, and I saw it, and I'm like, oh, and then I brought it home and played it. I'm like, whoa, this stuff is, pretty darn good. And then so later on I did see them in 83 when I heard their that's not why I went but to the concert, but if it was a Kiss concert, of course, the Creatures of the Night tour, and they had Motley Crue on for I don't know how many dates, 5 dates or something like that. I saw 3 of those dates. and so I had it. I'm like, oh yeah, I got that, so I knew the music. I thought, this ought to be good. So, which was great. So the thing about this album though is it came out again once they got signed to Elektra Records. It was, I think, remixed, and then a couple of the songs, switched or pulled off and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I think it was remixed by Roy Thomas Baker.
Correct.
I believe, or producer.
You're right.
So anyway, this is the. Let's see if we can get the label here.
Ah, very nice. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the label. I think
That's the new one, the Roy Thomas Baker one,
no.
or
This
is
is
that the
the one on.
second press?
This is the second pressing, I believe. If it's not the second, it's the third pressing, but it's before Elektra. This is the, which I think is better sounding. I think the
Yes,
original is better sounding than the
the redone one, right?
redone on Elektra Records. So the deal with this one is they recorded it in Hit City West in Los Angeles,
Mm-hmm.
um, California, and the songs that were, I think, moved here, and I'm trying to remember here, see what it says. I mean, I think the album only reached 77. Once it, I guess probably the official reached 77 on the Billboard 200.
Yeah.
But it did get to a platinum status. Um, it did have the Leather Records release, and here we go. I think they pulled "Piece of Your Action" off. I want to say, and let's see what it
Really?
is.
Eh?
No, they kept that one. Which one did they remove? Uh, got Live Wire, songs of Live
Mm-hmm.
Wire, Come On and Dance, Public Enemy Number One. Those are on there. Merry Go Round, that was on there. Take Me to the Top. That
Yeah.
that was the one that they moved or brought on the Electro version, I guess. I don't know if this list is right here
Huh.
because Star Air, Sticky Guns, Come and Dance, Too Fast for Love, On with the Show. I mean, these are. Oh no, this had Take Me to the Top on it, and the song sequence was changed too. So, anyway,
Yeah.
this album just rocks from
Beginning to
beginning to
end.
end. I mean, and of course, yeah, they were great in concert and so on. It did come with comes with this let me get back to this here. Uh, came with this insert. Supposedly they changed the insert picture. That's and one of the differences between the first and the second pressing or something, or second and third, and the lyrics, But and you know the band obviously, and you may even have the first album. I don't know, but this album, I go to it. I don't like to play it too much because I guess one of the reasons is I don't play this one too much because it's one of the leather record ones,
Mm-hmm.
and they're harder to find,
Yeah.
and they go for, I don't know, they go for a good, dollar or whatever you want to say,
Yeah.
um, if you were to sell it.
Yeah.
They're kind of rare in that sense, but it's in great shape. This one was in great shape, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know that I don't have it on vinyl.
Hmm.
Um, I'm probably eventually going to get one, most likely a reissue, because, like you said, I'd love to get an early pressing of that because I know Michael Wagner was the one who did the first mix of that record, and that's the one that everyone, talks about. I mean, even Julian, our friend and leader in the Kiss FAQ, talks about this version of the album all the time, saying how fantastic it is. And I mean, that album cover is a direct homage or slash ripoff of the Rolling Stones Sticky Fingers
Oh
album
yeah,
cover,
right.
right? So if you can tell where their influences come from.
Mm.
But it's a great record. One of the most interesting things I think on YouTube is if you look up the U.S. festival, the U.S. '83 festival that
Oh
was
yeah.
done. Motley Crue played on it,
Yeah.
and they had just, I think, at that point finished Shout at the Devil, so it was very new, that album, and they were still playing a lot of songs like Take Me to the Top and Merry Go
Hmm.
Round and all that stuff live wire, and it was a totally different band than what ended up happening. They were very, raw, and
Yeah.
Nikki Sixx didn't care he was in tune half the time and stuff like that. So, but it is all balls and energy at that time, and yeah, it's a really good record. I mean, I think even Mick Mars said himself that he prefers the Michael Wagner mix over the Roy Thomas Baker one. Uh, it's I don't even think that they really wanted
Yeah,
Roy
definitely.
Thomas Baker to do it.
Yeah,
The
Roy
remix,
Thomas
but
Baker was more producing Queen and the Cars and that sort of thing. It
yeah.
just didn't, to me, it makes no sense to have him do anything, touch anything for Motley Crue.
Well, but you got to think about it from this angle, though. When they get signed to Elektra, the big wigs go out to them and say, "We're gonna get somebody to remix the record, make it sound really good for you guys. We're gonna get Roy Thomas Baker." And for Nikki Sixx,
And they probably said,
all those
oh,
bands he
okay,
just
yeah,
mentioned, he was like, "Oh shit, those are the bands that I love."
yeah.
You know what I mean? So of course, and there was a great story about in the Dirt book about when they went to a Roy Thomas Baker party right around the time when he was remixing it. That as soon as things got out of hand and all the cocaine started coming out and stuff, he had this button by this table where he would push it and everything would lock up. All the doors would lock, some security fence would drop, and nobody would be allowed to leave the premises because he was scared of getting sued for people leaving drunk or this
Oh,
and that,
wow.
And he said that he found Nikki Sixx said that it was impossible to leave his house, like that they were locked in.
That's
You know
crazy.
what I mean? So yeah,
Literally locked in.
but that's gonna tell you one thing. The man had serious money. I mean, working with so many successful Queen albums will do it in Cars and everything else, right? So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
yes.
yeah, so that's an album that if you don't have that, or give it a listen, check it out. I mean, it's pretty raw, but it it's I think it's one of their best albums, definitely.
Absolutely. I think it's definitely one of their more memorable ones too. And it was during a time when rock needed a good kick in the butt, I'd say too, right? There was a lot
Yeah,
of,
yeah,
there was still a little bit of those, skinny tie keyboard things going on at that time too, right? So,
yeah. This is
they
back. Yeah, it's kind of the
81, something like that.
81, and they, I mean, they probably didn't become big until maybe late 80, bigger until like late 80s, Shout Out the Devil,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. But yeah, it was the beginning of the American heavy metal or hard rock coming back, making a comeback, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Oh boy. So that's a great pick. And I got to admit, that's a
All right.
very good debut record to
Yeah.
pick.
All
So
right. What you got next?
now on to my next one. Now, this one is definitely not a common record. Amongst collectors of maybe progressive rock, it is. Don't worry, it's not going to be all progressive rock. But this is definitely an odd album. And much like how you discussed Motley Crue's record there and how they have different versions of it, and one is definitely more appealing monetarily wise and sound wise than the other, this record has something very similar.
Okay.
Now I'll show you the record and I'll talk a little bit about it because I'm not sure if you're aware of this band. I wouldn't be surprised if you do know them because
Okay.
you are a knowledgeable individual, right? So that is FM.
Oh, FM. Yeah, I've heard of FM. I know of them. I don't think I've listened to any of the music, but I remember that. Yep.
Now this is a record called Black Noise.
Mm-hmm.
This is their first record. Now this record came out in 1978.
Okay.
It was recorded in
Sounds
Toronto.
right.
Yeah, it came out in Toronto. It was recorded in Toronto at the Sounds Interchange Studio, which is the same place that they did Rush 2112.
Oh, nice.
Now, the interesting thing about this record is there's an alternate cover of this album.
Okay.
Now, I don't have it, and I've been
No.
hunting high and low.
Oh, it's hard to
I
find.
literally have been hunting for it. This is I don't know if you'll be able to see this well, but
Yeah, try it. Okay. Yeah, I see it. Different. Yeah, it is different.
it's totally
Interesting.
different because it's basically a sewer cap.
Oh, is that what that
Okay.
is? A circuit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I'll explain because this has a song on here called Black Noise. Okay.
Right.
And basically the whole concept behind Black Noise is it's about mutants who live in a secret underground world beneath the city, okay? and rise up through the sewers at night.
Are they
That's
turtles?
probably why they had that. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's almost like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
There you go. The original idea for it. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the interesting thing about this is that the original version that I showed you there
Yeah.
came out on a record label called CBC Records. The same CBC, that's the television station here in Canada, the Canadian Broadcasting System.
Okay.
So they actually funded this first record, right? Yeah, the album was originally released by CBC Records in early '78, commissioned after the group appeared on the CBC television variety show Who's New. So it's kind of like a,
Showing off new
new talent
and so on. Yeah.
It says the group expected it to be distributed in stores like a normal release, but the CBC chose to sell it by mail order and only announced its availability during radio shows.
Oh my God.
The album was issued as a limited edition, 500 copies, which was sufficient to meet the response from the limited promotion.
500.
Yeah.
That's not much.
That's why it's so hard to find this version of it.
Oh, wow.
Then it says the album was given a wider release in the summer of '78 on Visa Records in the United States and Passport Records in Canada later that year. So that's the version that I have here. I'm very sure. It says CBC still owns the rights to the album and licensed it to Visa for a reissue. In Canada, the Passport label was distributed by GRT Records and then by Capitol Records in 1979 and finally by A&M Records in 1981. Cameron Hawkins claims the group never received royalty payments from any of the Canadian LP editions as their contract specified all payments were to come through Visa Records in the US and none of the 3 Canadian distributors passed royalties on to Visa. So they got ripped off very largely. Now, this band is a 3-piece band, which is not very surprising being from Canada because there's a
3-piece.
what other 3-piece could they have been possibly influenced by? Rush. Yeah. So, and the lineup in this band is interesting. Cameron Hawkins on synthesizer, bass guitar, piano, and lead vocals. Okay. Martin Deller on drums, percussion, synthesizer. Okay. And Nash the Slash, a name which must be familiar to some people, electric violins and mandolin, glockenspiel, and vocals.
Oh,
so there's no electric guitar in this band.
Cool from my perspective on some things I like. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no electric guitar. It's just violin and mandolin and synthesizer. Now, it's really cool. If you go on YouTube and look up FM and look up the song, which is their big hit off this, which is Phasers on Stun.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. It was a popular song. When you hear it, you go, oh, I know that song. Yeah. It's really cool. I mean, it is very much of the progressive persuasion. It's not totally like that because if you look at them, Phasers on Stun is 3 minutes and 49 seconds.
Yeah.
1 o'clock tomorrow is 6:05. Hours is 2:36. Journey is 4:40. Dialing for Dharma is 3:15. The next side is Slaughter in the Robot Village, which is 5 minutes. And see, songs like that, there's a lot of weird like whoop, 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 like effects and keyboard stuff in there. Yeah. Aldebaran is 5 minutes, and Black Noise is 10 minutes long. That's the title track song, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles soundtrack song.
Exactly.
Right? So, but it's honestly, I mean, the way we're making it sounds like it's ridiculous, but honestly, it's very influenced by that era of Rush. We're talking like Hemisphere 78 era stuff. And they were really into the keyboards. The bass playing is fantastic. The drumming is very good. I mean, I implore you, Ken, and the people who are watching this, look it up. Put Phasers on Stun on YouTube. You'll see a live video of them playing, and you'll be like, wow, like, I can't believe that it sounds like this, and there's no electric guitar. Because, of course, he does put effects on the violin, he does put effect on the mandolins as well. So it's not like it's like folk music. It's they're making it more of a progressive rock thing in there. So it's very good. Again, it's a interesting debut. I don't know if it says any. It doesn't say anything about how it did as far as sales on here, but you know, it got released a lot of times. I mean, it says here list of editions. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The last version of it was on Esoteric Records from the UK, which did a remaster of it on February 25th, 2013. But there's a release, Canada 78, US 78, 78 Canada again, a West German pressing LP in 78, an LP 79, LP 82, CD 94, CD 96, another 96 CD release, and you know what I mean? So that it came out numerous times.
To keep at least repressing it, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that this is, you know, I'm going to guess, because I'm not 100% certain on it, but I'm pretty sure that it's probably the one that it's probably the best selling record that they did, I would venture to say. Okay. So if you don't own it, I would say check it out.
I don't own it, but I mean, it sounds interesting. The music sounds interesting, especially with no guitar. Though it's, you know, what do you say, mandolin and electric violin, right?
Yeah.
Which are great instruments that, you know, I do like as part of other music I listen to. So okay, there's yeah.
Okay, so there's the guys.
Synthesizers too. So
yeah,
you can mask
there's a lot of
guitar, kind of make a synthesizer sound a little bit guitarish too, if you wanted to, I guess.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, that's cool.
And just let me just show you the
vinyl.
Show me
the.
Then we'll get on to your next pick. Okay.
This is the CBC one or the.
This is the
Passport Records. Okay.
But this was, if you look at the bottom here, it says GRT Canada.
Canada Limited.
Yeah. So that was the GRT release of it.
Okay. Nice.
Oh yeah. I'm wondering if there's any other pertinent information on here, because usually you know how we are, we like searching for those things.
Look at the run out groove of things.
Yeah. It just has the serial number on here. There's no mastering thing on here. So that's a shame, because sometimes it's nice to see if they have, you know, the Lacquer channel usually was involved in these kind of mastering sessions for them. So yeah, so that's my second pick, and I implore you to check it out. I think you'll like it. I'll
check that one out too. That's a good pick. It sounds very interesting, music-wise.
Yeah.
I want to hear that. I want to hear the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle song.
Yeah, I think you might be surprised, actually.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So my next pick is an album released in March of 1977. This is a band that this is another album that I picked that I feel there are no, you know, it's a rockin', you know, straightforward rock and roll, catchy, melodic, great performances, and you know, just solid songs.
Yeah.
And the musicianship, is great. So the first album I would say Foreigner. And this is a promotional copy of the first album. Therefore, you know, some of these Atlantic records had the labels, stickers on the front showing the tracks that are on the album for, you know, radio purposes, for the DJs to, you know how long these things run and whatever, radio programming. And the back of the album, I don't know if it has I don't think it says anything on the back about being a promotional. Like, I don't think there's any stamp or anything, but that's the only thing on that. So this band obviously was named Foreigner and put together by Mick Jones, leader of Foreigner, and by, you know, American guys and guys from Europe or England. So therefore, the they're foreigners to each another's country, basically, and put together. And this album, again, has, I think it was produced. Oh, what was produced by here? I forget. It was produced by John Sinclair and Gary Lyons.
Yeah. Oh, John Sinclair. That's a familiar name.
Yeah, and in collaboration with Mick Jones and Ian McDonald, who are the band members. I believe and I was looking at it, the mastering was done by George Pyros.
Oh, yeah.
He's famous as, he's always been well known as a great master of albums, too. So, this album had songs like, and anyone listens to rock radio in the past or classic rock, I mean, Feels Like the First Time, Cold as Ice. There's Star Rider, which I think is a fantastic song. It wasn't a hit, single or anything, but it's a great song. Head Knocker, another great song. Damage Is Done was another. I mean, these are just songs I think are just all great. A Long, Long Way From Home. That one's played on the radio. Woman, a Woman, At War with the World, Full for You Anyway, and I Need You. I mean, it's just great stuff. And I believe it runs your normal time about 38 minutes. It was on Atlantic Records. I'll show the label in a second, but I believe it did pretty well. It sold pretty well. Let's see. The singles we have, Feels Like the First Time, peak position number 4, and Cold as Ice, peak position number 6. That's on the Billboard Hot 100. So
yeah,
it did really well. And the actual album, I think, went to 4. This is a debut album. I mean, I guess they did release single Long, Long Way From Home. They did release that, and that went to 20. I don't know the overall sales. It looks like Canada, it went platinum, 100,000 plus. And then the United States, it's 5 times platinum.
Wow.
That's
a great for debut.
That's pretty good. Now, the other thing about this cover, I'll just bring up real quick, is up here, if you look at it, it's Foreigner, and it has like a blurred Foreigner, like a second.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, just on the very first pressings, and not all the first pressings, and the promo and some of the first pressings, they had that double. They took away the second, lower. They took that away, so it's a different. They changed the cover basically.
It's a variation.
Yeah, it was a variation. So a little hard to find. All right, so this is your standard Atlantic Records. See if you can get it there.
Put it up a little bit. Okay, there we go. Pull it back a little bit.
Like this.
Yeah, just hold it there. There we go.
There you go.
Very nice.
So yeah, it's Atlantic Records, first pressing. Nothing about saying promo on here. They ran it right to the runout groove, really tight on both sides.
Yeah.
On both sides of this album. But again, this is a promo. I like to, if possible, I like to get the promos because they always seem to sound best.
If I gotta ask you,
yeah,
you said it was run right near the end on both sides, and that album is only 38 minutes long, which means that they didn't need to do that, right?
You wouldn't think they needed to do that, right?
Which would mean though that it probably sounds excellent because they would have more space to make a better groove in there for those songs.
Exactly.
So it must sound incredible.
Exactly, and then usually it would help as far as sometimes they say the distortion comes on the inner, right, the last song on the side. But I think definitely the outer groove, those first songs, just sound fantastic. I mean, they really do sound great. I mean, it's just a great sounding record. That's the other reason I picked these guys. They're, besides being
absolutely.
So Foreigner is Go ahead.
I was just going to say that obviously that answers the other question that I had from earlier, is whether this is a record that you go out and listen to frequently or not.
Yeah, I would say more frequently. Of their albums, I'll pull this one usually. Mm-hmm. I'll pull any of usually the first 4, right, albums.
Yeah. I
pull them all. I really do, because it's all pretty good. But this one, probably a little bit more. This one and maybe Foreigner 4 are the ones I'll go to most. But they're all, they're pretty solid on their songwriting.
Great. Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously Foreigner's something that I'm familiar with, and my older sister had quite a bit of their records, and she also had, like, on her school binder, she had her design of that 4 that they had, like, from the album cover on her thing there. So, it was this is a band that's very familiar to me. Anyway, so I'm not surprised that you picked that. It's a great record.
They're well known. I mean, I'm picking. Unlike what you were picking, I'm picking more of this go around. I'm picking more of the, well-known bands that have been very successful.
That's great though, because then that makes this older better. Because now we're having
a good variety going, blend, which is good.
Yeah, exactly. People can have best of both worlds in this episode.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, great. So that's a fantastic second pick. I'm looking forward to your third one too. So for my third one, we're going to end my pick on a ironic note, because when you pulled out your record, I was kind of laughing as I'm thinking to myself, oh, great. He has a promotional copy of her record, because my next one is a promo copy as well of her record.
Awesome.
Now, and once again, though, it's not from a band that you're probably going to say, oh, yeah, I listened to them last week or something like that. I guarantee you it won't be. But there's a lot of info directly related to me. Well, in a way, I'll get to it. But there's a lot of things that I love about this band, and there's a connection you'll see when I talk about it. So let me get to it instead of babbling here. So I'll pull it out. This is a band called World Trade.
World Trade.
There's do you see that sticker?
Yeah, it says includes so-and-so. I can't read the titles, but includes something.
Includes
the song titles.
The Revolution song, One Last Chance, The Moment Is Here, and Can't Let You Go. If you look in the back here, there's a gold stamp.
Yeah, gold promo stamp.
4-piece band.
Yeah, 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll get to the information that you want to hear about very soon, but I'll give you just this, because what's interesting about this one, because you showed your record there. Here's mine, and if you notice, mine says promo copy underneath the serial number.
Oh yeah. Yep. Promotion copy, not for sale. Yep. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this one is a full promo copy, and it's funny because I know one of the guys in this band very well, actually. Well, rather well, I'll say. Yeah.
Okay.
His name is Billy Shearwood. Now that name might be familiar to you, may not be. Yeah. Billy Shearwood is currently the bass player for Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Interesting.
He was involved with Yes from as far back as 1994, even 1991, I'd say, because on the Union album that Yes put out, the Big Disasters record, nobody in the Yes circle likes talking about that record, but he wrote a song with Chris Squire that appeared on there. Okay. So he had involvement with Chris Squire from way back. Now, why did he have involvement with them? Because around this time, now this record came out in 1989. Okay. If you So think back, 83, 90125 came out. 4 years later, Big Generator comes out in 87. Okay. Then they go on tour for a couple of years, and then the crap hits the fan, and the band kind of splits up. Okay. Now, I only heard about this information because of Billy and thanks to the Yes Music podcast and all the connections that we have through there. John Anderson was gone from the band. One of the first times, of course, that he had left the band. Well, second time, actually. So they needed a new singer. Chris Squire had heard this record, and I believe it was Atlantic Records, and those guys came up to the heads of Polydor and said, listen, we want to meet these guys. I think they kind of almost lied, kind of saying, we're thinking about taking them out on tour or something like that, with them. What they were trying to do is they were trying to scoop Billy Shearwood to replace John Anderson as lead vocalist for the band, because he sings on here. He plays bass and vocalist on here. There's also Guy Allison on keyboards, Bruce Dowdy on guitar, and Mark T. Williams on drums. So I had to get that in there. And it's mastered by Greg Fulgenenti. Greg Fulgenenti. You'll know that you see he was at the GF in the
I've seen
Dead
GF.
Wax. Yeah, that's him, Greg.
Okay, all right.
He did it, and Keith Olsen produced this record.
Keith Olsen, okay.
Yeah, so and he did the huge White Snake records and Ozzy, and so he was a big name at this time, and they were touted to be a big thing. Now I give Billy all the props in the world. I even told him this when I talked to him a few times, is that I was impressed by this record because around this time, the last thing people wanted to hear was prog rock. Okay, this was like 1990. It was even hair metal was phasing out at this point. Okay, so I was just impressed that they did this record. Now, of course, they don't have any like huge 10-minute songs. The longest song on here is like 5 minutes 40, and this is like a 11-song album. Okay, so it's quite a lot of songs on there. So let's put it this way. It's like if you took a prog band with the guys who love prog music, and then they realize, we got to make it a little bit more commercial sounding if we want to survive in this market. That's what this album is. Okay, so it's really good. It sounds excellent, this record. The production is fantastic. The playing is top notch, but it's songs that'll be done in like 4 minutes. It's a well written, well structured, excellent singing on it, and I highly suggest for people to listen to this, because I can't help but stress that at the time period when this came out, this was like the black sheep of probably the release market at that time. You know what I mean? I mean, they really had confidence in this record to put it out because it just wasn't something that people were kind of listening for. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that the guys in Yes were so into it that the label felt a little bit more secure in getting them out. It was almost like a situation, I believed, where they said, release it, don't worry, he'll join our band, kind of thing. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It'll give it that extra support for sales, and no worries. But Billy told me that he didn't want to do it. They brought him over to rehearsals and everything, and he said he was so nervous he didn't want to do it because he said that he knew that if he was to step in front of that stage and start singing Yes songs, people would be like, boo, they want John Anderson. John Anderson had diehard followers, for him in the band, right, to this day, right? So it was tough, and he didn't want to go through that. And he was young then, he was in his 20s at that time, right? So now it's a different story. He's in the band now, fully accepted by all the Yes people. Why? Because Chris Squire, before he died of leukemia, went online and said that he personally handpicked Billy Shearwood to replace him because they did a tour before he died where Billy played bass for him, and he said that if I was to pass away, I want Billy to replace him. So the Yes fans immediately took to him and said, he's our man. You know what I mean? So that's a great thing. He's a fantastic musician, incredible producer, and it's a really good album. I venture to say that if you're lucky to find a promo copy, get it. They're not incredibly pricey, you know what I mean? Because it's not a band, like I said, that most people know. I mean, I'm looking at Discogs now. The highest price that went for this record, and that was in June of 2019. So that was a little bit ago, but it's the highest price that it went for was $38.
Okay.
So it's not like it's like you look at it and go, what, 1,050? You know what I mean? Like it's not like one of those records, right? So I honestly say that go online, listen to it. There's I'm sure you'll find like the Revolution song and Can't Let You Go and songs that were the singles. They'll be readily available on YouTube. But I think that if you like it, I think you'll really like it. You know what I mean? It's one of those records.
One of those, yeah. Well, interesting. I hadn't heard of World Trade. That's for sure. Not aware of the connection, with Yes and so on. So that's kind of an interesting thing. On that album, do you think what does it closely represent if you were going to say other music or another band or style?
That's hard to say. I would say that they wanted to be a cooler Toto.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. A cooler Toto. Yeah. Right. Well, yeah. Okay.
Because I mean, you listen to songs like Rosanna or something like that.
Rosanna.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like it's you heard it 100,000 times and you're like, oh god.
A more rockin' Toto.
Yeah, it's more technical, but it has that kind of really good production, like how those records were. Like when you listen to it now, the bass really sticks out and the production is incredible and the songwriting is good. It's just that you're sick of Rosanna because you've heard it a million times, Whereas this you won't be, because it's not so familiar, and it's not. I'm not saying it's like Toto, but it's along those lines, but better. It's cooler. It's like if it was like a high school student, Toto would be the one that you would beat up and put into the closet, and these were the guys that you'd want to hang out with.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's cool. Yeah. Well, that's a third one now I need to check out.
Yeah, I think you'll like it.
These are all something I haven't listened to before. But yeah, that sounds interesting too. Huh. Okay. That's cool. That's a good pick. You're surprising me with all these bands that I think I know a lot of bands, but I don't know them. I don't know them all. There's no way.
We can never know all of them. There's so many bands out there.
You can't. All right. So.
All right.
After that.
What's your last gem?
Well, I think we're stuck on promos, so I got another promo. So this one, maybe I can tease you.
Okay.
This came out in, I think it was 76 officially. Let me just get August of 76 it came out. Now.
Good year.
Yeah, it was a good year. This band is somewhat prog. Yeah, you could say they were a little bit proggy, a teeny bit. I would say, not majorly, but some of their music has that, style. I'll tell you something though. This has sold. I'll tell you how many records this one sold.
Okay.
It's in the United States, RIAA, it has sold 17 million copies.
Oh, okay. It's a big seller.
No slouch there. It's done 1 million. It's Diamond in Canada.
Diamond in Canada. Okay, that kind of narrows it down. 76 Diamond album.
Okay. Yep.
I'm guessing it. Could it be animal related?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
No
Good.
animal relations. No.
I will be.
Yeah. I'll just go ahead and show you since we're going after it here now. Here we go. All right. Boston.
Ah.
The first album of Boston. It's another similar, right? It has the label, but this one is on Epic Records. 76. This is a promo copy. The cover looks, it's not bad for a promo. It's not as clean as the Foreigner one I have that I showed you. There's
it's being loved.
The gold stamp, yeah. But the record sounds phenomenal. One of the best records I have, sounding wise. I mean, it just sounds unlike anything else. I have, you have a few records that just sound better than everything else.
Yeah.
There's certain ones. This is one of those records. And obviously, this is another album that had no skips in it. You hear a lot of these songs on the radio today, even. For instance, More Than a Feeling, Peace of Mind, Foreplay, Long Time, which is that, almost 8-minute song where I'm going to the, progressive type, a little bit there. But then songs like Rock and Roll Band, Smokin'.
Love those songs.
And Something About You. Let Me Take You Home Tonight. Great songs. So yeah, they're all, I mean, we've heard them a million times, but they're good. Every time you hear them, I kind of don't get sick of these things. So the label, and it is a promo label, a white promo label.
Very nice.
Get this one here. Is it too?
Up just a touch. There we go. Perfect.
Yeah. So Epic Records, demonstration not for sale. Just a great. I didn't even go to who produced this album, but this album, again, one of the reasons I pulled it is just the great music, but the sound of this one is just so phenomenal.
I actually watched a documentary about this. I'm curious to see what you're going to say about this because I'm very familiar with this record.
Obviously, you got Tom Schultz in the band. He's the guy that came up with that special fuzz sound for his guitar, right?
The man's a genius. He's an engineering phenomenon.
Exactly. Brad Delp, who I think unfortunately died a few years back, right? The lead singer, Barry Goodrow, Fran Sheehan, bass, no relation, I don't think, to the other Sheehan.
Really?
Sib Hashian, drums and percussion. The production here, and why don't I have it here? I know it's here. Produced by John Boylan and Tom Schultz. So,
yes,
John Boylan.
There's a great story about that.
Yeah, I know there's one story. Well, not even that, but who could have produced Boston, which was Eddie Kramer, right? Is that one of the stories you're talking about?
There's another story, but that's one of them too.
Where he was called, but he was too busy with Kiss or whatever, and he had to turn down. Because that would have been around Rock and Roll Over era time, 76, or could have been even alive at that time, and so he had to turn down producing Boston, unfortunately for him. What's your story on it?
Well, because he said in numerous interviews, because I've been watching a lot of different videos, ironically, about Eddie Kramer. He's done a few on the Gibson.com site for YouTube if you want to catch up with some more recent Eddie Kramer stuff. And he said, too, that he heard it, the finished mixes of it that Tom Schultz had done.
Right.
And he said that he listened to it and said that there's I can't do anything with this. This is good. It's perfect. He goes, what can I do to this? So he said that he pretty much stepped aside. In one way he's kicking himself because look at how many albums that sold, right? But the great story is, and this is on a documentary on PBS and all these other great stations. The record guy, producer, what was his name that you just mentioned? That guy, John something rather. John Boylan came in, listened to it, and said, "Okay, we're going to go into another studio, recut it, and we'll get it all going." And he goes, "No, we're doing it here. I want it done here in this way. Otherwise, I'm not doing it." Tom Schultz put his foot down and said, "Okay." And then the record producer guy, this is out of Tom Schultz's own mouth. the record producer guy was leaving his house and said, "Okay, great. We'll do it. We'll do it your way. We'll do it here." And he was just about to say, "Okay, great." And he said that he's so happy that he waited a couple of more seconds before he said anything, because the guy turned back around, looked at him, and goes, "And I'll give you split on the production credit."
Aha. Yeah.
And he goes, if he would have waited, if he wouldn't have waited, he would have probably said, "Yeah, okay, that's fine," and he wouldn't have got no production credit,
Right.
because he was happy with the deal anyways, because he just wanted to do it in his own studio. But because he waited a couple of seconds and the guy offered him also production as well, needless to say, he funded his Schultz research company alone from the sales of this album, from the production money he got from this, because it's the highest selling debut album by Epic Records any time, I think.
Yeah, I mean, huge sales. And just thinking of the singles were, More Than a Feeling, Long Time, Peace of Mind, I guess were the singles. I think they all did well, obviously, as singles, because we heard them. The singles with the More Than a Feeling hit number 5. Long Time 22, Peace of Mind 38. So the big hit single was More Than a Feeling, which everyone's heard, and so on. But it's in the list of the best selling albums of all time, because 17 million is that's a lot of records.
That's a lot of albums
for, especially in a debut. It's just crazy.
And I'm saying for us independent guys who make our own records and stuff, we sort of like bow to Mr. Schultz, because back in '76 he had the balls to say, no, I'm going to do it in my own studio. Because if you look at the PBS documentaries, they go to some of his early pictures of him in his studio, that it looked like something out of like, some Dr. Wacko, research labs or something. It looked crazy, his setup. It didn't look like a recording studio at all. Like how he had stuff set up in there was like really very home studio-ish. And you just said yourself that it's probably one of the best sounding albums you've ever heard. So that goes to show you, as long as you know what you're doing here and with your ears, you don't need to go to a $10 million recording studio to make a good sounding record.
Right. And the other thing about the mastering of it, talking about sound, is by Wally, our buddy Wally Trogett, at Capitol Studios. So that guy, I know he's a good master, because I have a lot of other albums that he's done that sound pretty darn good too.
Dark Side of the Moon.
There you go. Yeah.
Wally Target. Dark Side of the Moon. That's one of the best sounding records you'll ever get on vinyl.
So hey, I mean, that's about the time period, too. So yeah, if you're gonna have someone master it, have him do it.
Exactly.
So that is my third and final album. Another promo, of course.
Fantastic. Well, those were really good picks. And I gotta say, I'm very happy with our selections, because it was like obscure, a little bit more known, obscure. Yeah, and you know what though? But it was good, because it gives it, like we said before, it gives everybody something to, like on here. It wasn't only just obscure records that nobody knew about. There's stuff in there that people could relate to as well, and that's great. I had a couple of other ones here that I had put on the side just in case.
Yeah.
But I like that I took them, put them aside, because I wanted you to have more of them. And that was, I had the first Max Webster.
Oh, Max Webster.
Just in case. Right. And another one that I had, and this was, I wasn't sure about showing this one, because then I left it off because you were going with that flow of more known albums, and I was going to maybe show the first Maiden.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Iron Maiden, yeah. It's a good one.
But cool. Those are all great selections. I think that we picked a great bunch of records.
Yeah, I think they're all good, and I'm gonna I have homework to do now to listen to the bands that you had picked. I haven't heard those. I might have heard that one song, like the Phasers on Stunned. I'm sure I did. It sounds familiar to me, the name. So, but I'll check that one out. Definitely.
Right. Yeah, it's fantastic. And you made me want to go now and pull out my Boston records. So
There you
I'll
go.
definitely go and do that. So, all right, fantastic. So, if you're out there, if you're listening and watching, put down some of your favorite debut records. What are some records that you think are, stellar debut records, and let us know what you think. And I'll end this by saying that I can guarantee you it's not going to be 10 months for our next episode
Right.
that we're going
No,
to
it's
do.
been a long
We're
time.
definitely going to do it more often. And another thing that we're going to do that me and Ken did last time, which we really enjoyed, was our album shootout, boom, 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 where we picked two records and we compared production, songs, popularity, and only one winner can come out, obviously,
Yeah.
from that, and see which is the better record from those standards. So we'll be doing some of those as well. And there's lots of records that we can choose
Oh yeah.
on that front. So we got a lot to do. So on behalf of Mr. Ken Keenan and myself, Mark Anthony Kay, thank you very much for watching, and we will talk to you all very soon, and stay safe, everybody.
See ya.